Good evening at News 360.
Service has been questioned in Parliament, with the minority raising concerns why government is importing 112 new ambulances when over 90 have been run aground. The issue came to the fore during the approval process of the 2024 budget.
In January 2019, the National Ambulance Service was given a new lease of life when the President handed over 307 new ambulance service under the 121 ambulance policy. It has, however, come to light in Parliament that over 90 of these ambulances are no longer functional.
Out of the 307 ambulances that were imported into this country, Speaker, in 2020, about 79 are completely be broken down. They are not operation. They are not in operation. And 12 have been involved in accidents. So in all, about 91 of the ambulances are not in operation. Mr. Speaker, if we continue this way, I can assure you that in the next 1 to 2 years, we're not going to have a single ambulance in the fleet. Mr. Speaker, interestingly, once the National Ambulance Service is complaining of funds to even maintain the already existing ambulances, we have ordered about 26 new ambulances. 26 new ambulances again.
The National Vaccine Institute was also fingered for suspicious budget lines during the approval of the budget for the Health Ministry.
It's not enough. You've not heard anything yet. Mr. Speaker, the institute that is not going to produce the vaccine itself, they are going to use 15.3 million Ghana cedis for facilitation of the manufacturing and the marketing of vaccines, etc. Facilitation. Even those who are going to produce the vaccines itself, how much are they going to use? 15 million Ghana cedis for facilitation.
Mr. Speaker, let me talk about the Vaccine Institute and how my ranking tried to shred the 78.8 million that they need. He talked about seminars, symposiums, workshops, facilitation. Mr. Speaker, yes. They are a regulatory institution. They need to be seeing best practices across the world. They need to bring these best practices down and localize them. The same way when you go for international treaties and conventions, it's incumbent on us to pass acts to mandate. That is what they need to be doing.
15.2 billion Ghana cedis was approved for the Ministry of Health, and out of which 8.7 billion, that is almost 70%, will go into human resources and compensation. With the Ministry of Defense budget approval process, the high attrition rate of officers in the Air Force due to the number of available aircrafts was an issue of concern.
It is a matter of concern that the Ghana Armed Forces has recently suffered attrition of trained pilots. It is important, therefore, that the Ghana Air Force take immediate steps to augment its fleet of aircraft to halt this phenomenon.
Sitting unusually on a Saturday, the House step by step went through various budget estimates for ministries such as that of Health, Defense and Employment and Labour Relations. Duke Mentopoku, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Away from Parliament, experts have continued to weigh in on government's lithium concessionary agreement with Barari DV Ghana Limited. Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, has proposed a price and discovery clause around the royalties to be accrued from mining the mineral in Ghana. According to him, lithium, which he refers to as green economy enabler, is the metal that will see the highest growth in demand in the next 25 years.
Okansi on TV3's Key Points. Bright Simmons says Ghana's equity in the lithium mines may come with a risk.
When it comes to owning equity in the find, it's not all rosy, because the equity that the type where we have to also pay money to run the mine comes with risk. So you need to have situations where you have the option to exercise, not to offside, etc., etc., which is exactly what MEF has done. It's not clear why the government is not doing it for the parts of the ownership that accrue to the state.
The Economist proposes a pricing discovery around royalties that will accrue from mining the mineral, and that government must relook at the terms of the agreement before submitting to Parliament.
The idea of a variable royalty structure makes a lot of sense. You have a base minimum, a floor, and then when the economics transform or change dramatically, you adjust it. There's an automatic adjustment mechanism that increases it. So, for instance, just a year ago, spodumene concentrate, which is the main output from the mine that we are developing at Ewuya, or Atlantic Lithium is developing at Ewuya, was in excess of $8,000 in some places, ranging from $4,000 to $6,000 in others. Now it's above 1,000. So if there's a prospect that it can go back up to 8,000, or you move beyond even the current mineral that is being produced, which is the spodumene concentrate, and start to introduce more higher value chemical derivatives like lithium carbonate or hydroxide, then you are talking about a situation where the main output of the mine goes up to like $80,000, like it did last year, November, when lithium hydroxide and the like were selling for $80,000. So if you benchmark that price to the lithium oxide in our spodumene, you get a sense of how high this could have gone. Already, even at current price and at the price that they use for their feasibility study, that pricing was about $1,600. On that pricing, they get their money back from the plant that they are building to do the spodumene concentrate. They get their money back in 5 months. So there's no reason why an investor that gets their money back in 5 months and then in about 2 years will have fully recovered all other expenses, etc., and made enough profit, should continue to own 87%. There should be a way in which, as they recover their investment, we have the option to claw back some of the equity. So these are all creative options that we've suggested, and it doesn't really hurt for the parliament, now that they are going to be seized with this issue, to insist on these things. And maybe the government, even before it sends it to parliament, given all the feedback that is coming, should consider renegotiating the agreement before it sends it to parliament.
The Ghana Education Service plans to provide training for district coordinators or special education on dyslexia inclusion starting next year. Head of Special Education Unit Alex Amankwa says at least 10 out of 40 students in a class have dyslexia despite lack of data on dyslexia cases.
Globally, it is estimated that 1 in 5 children is dyslexic. In Ghana, although there are policies seeking to improve special education, the curriculum recognize diverse needs of dyslexia learners, leading to frustration, discouragement, and unfulfilled potentials. Ghana's special education curriculum has long emphasized physical disabilities, highlighting the need for awareness and action beyond physical barriers. Starting next year, the Ghana Education Service will provide training to special education district coordinators on the inclusion of dyslexia.
The situation, when you look at it, you are looking at hypothetical figures based on the observations that we make. Yes, it is dire. It is a serious issue, because you would go to some of the classrooms and you find out and you realize that out of about 40, about 10 of them or more are facing different challenges. 2024, we're going to train the special education coordinators across the country. We are going to train service personnel. For them, they are paid from that level. So when we engage them, they are going to do the support systems in the classrooms for them.
Africa dyslexia organizations are advocating for a shift in inclusive education policies to prioritize neurodivergent students.
We're hoping that especially the private schools will make their students or their teachers available, make investments in them to train their teachers to best support all learners with challenges. We have what we call the multi-sensory learning approach, which can be used by everybody, whether you are an A student or whatever student, as we classify them in Ghana. If we use the multi-sensory approach, it's going to benefit all learners, and our students who struggle will also catch up.
You've heard from the experts, you've heard from the policymakers. It will take more than just a political will. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's speak to Dr. Peter Partey-Anti. He is Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies. Thank you so much for your time, Doc. So we just heard from the head of the Special Education Unit, 10 out of 40 pupils or students in the classroom having dyslexia. What kind of training should teachers and district coordinators have in order to identify pupils with learning disabilities in class?
Thank you very much and good evening to your viewers. I think this is a good step in the right direction. What we need to understand is that teachers that are being trained in our colleges of education and universities are exposed to some form of special education that prepares them or gives them the foundation to be able to kinds of challenges. But in most instances, it becomes difficult for one to practice it when they get to the classroom because they are mostly overwhelmed by the number of students that they are dealing with, and also sometimes supervision is not that much when you go to the field. So it becomes difficult for teachers to attend to the different kinds of students that they have in their class. So if a little focus is going to be on these kids come next year, starting with the training for the coordinators, I think it is in the right direction. I believe that it's going to take a more form of maybe a cascading kind of a training where the coordinators will also go a step further to train the teachers in various districts or in a cohort form to enable all teachers, because this is something that every teacher needs. One or two people in your class would have a challenge that you need to have that skill to be able to assist the child to be able to learn how to write, to read, and so on and so forth. And therefore, you cannot just train the coordinators and think that they will be able to ensure that teachers pay attention to children with this kind of challenge. So I believe that the training would go a step further to each individual teacher in a classroom to ensure that these teachers pay attention to kids that have these challenges.
Now, beyond the training, let's look at our grading system. Sometimes, even as they're writing WASI or BCE, they're given extra time to complete their tasks. But beyond that, what else can we do? Should they be graded like everyone else?
When it comes to grading, it becomes a little bit, but I think that the opportunity to have more time to attempt your questions is enough. Maybe we have to have a conversation around it, that maybe there should be a form of a system that would pay attention to these kinds of kids that have these challenges. It's very, very important. And that is why sometimes when you're having discussions about assessment issues, some of us talk about multiplicity of assessment techniques that will bring out the best in the child in a way that will not be to his or a disadvantage. So if we approach multiple assessment procedure or processes, it is going to help some of these cases, so that some people would have to use their hands to do something and they are being assessed, whereas those who have the cognitive ability to sit and write exams for 2 hours would also do that. If there is a project that those students would have to do in order that they assess, we go by that. So the multiple assessment technique is what we should go in for kids that have these kinds of challenges, because of course if the child has a difficulty in even remembering and writing, and you give him an additional 30 minutes, it might not be enough for the child to be able to do what he or she can do. But when you have other assessment techniques that will expose the child to be able to also exhibit what his potential, what he's made of, I think that should be enough to get some of these cases pass through the educational system that we are having. Yeah.
Doc, thank you so much for your time. And Dr. Peter Partey-Anti is Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies.
Let's go to health-related stories now. Ghana will begin the production of tetanus diphtheria vaccine next year in a bid to create a lasting solution to shortage and also prevent future outbreaks of vaccine-preventable diseases. Sarah Penkro has been finding out what this means to maternal and child health care in the country.
Tetanus and diphtheria are vaccine-preventable bacterial infections which are highly contagious. These infections can lead to severe respiratory complications, due to the formation of a grayish membrane in the throat which can obstruct breathing and can result in death. The vaccines are responsible for the prevention of neonatal tetanus, which has led to hundreds of thousands of deaths globally according to the WHO. In 2011, Ghana was declared tetanus diphtheria-free haven, having recorded less than 1 case per 1,000 deliveries annually. The tetanus vaccine is given during pregnancy, while the diphtheria vaccine is given to the baby after delivery. They are two very critical vaccines needed in maternal health care delivery. Hence, the public outcry when the country experienced a shortage of vaccines meant for routine immunization in February this year.
The fact that you don't have a disease does not mean that you should stop vaccinating. Because if you stop, then of course the disease rises again. And so we can't risk getting shortage of any vaccine at all. And that is why we make all the efforts to get vaccines when we don't have them.
TV3 visited the National Vaccine Cold Room at the Ghana Health Service, where the tetanus diphtheria vaccines are stocked. We are told Ghana has adequate stock of vaccines to last the country months ahead.
When we have vaccines produced in the country, first of all, we jump the hurdle of the importation fee itself. All the issues around handling and importation charges and so on will be a thing of the past, assuming that the vaccine cost itself in Ghana is much, much cheaper.
The recent outbreak of diphtheria in neighboring Nigeria, despite mass vaccination coverage, is a public health concern for the world at large. Cases have been reported in more than 16 states in Nigeria, increasing the vulnerability of children, and so Ghana cannot be complacent. A memorandum of understanding between the Atlantic Life Sciences and PT Biopharma, with supervision from the National Vaccine Institute here in Ghana, seeks to strengthen vaccine self-reliance in production to fulfill resilience of supply not only for Ghana, but also ECOWAS countries.
The vaccine is very, very important for the healthcare quality of the population. So that is why Bio Pharma from Indonesia is working with Atlantic Life Sciences in Ghana to be able to together working to develop and do the production in Ghana.
Health Minister Kweku Ajimanmenu is elated.
The idea of having shortages, the pricing will be better for us, will be a matter of the past. But more importantly, we are going to produce what we use in our own country.
The last time Ghana recorded cases of tetanus or diphtheria was about a decade ago. Currently in neighboring Nigeria, there is an outbreak of the diphtheria disease, having recorded over 13,000 cases and 500 deaths. This means as a country, we cannot afford to have shortage of this critical vaccine needed for maternal health care. Sarah Apenko, TV3 News, Accra.
All right, so that's certainly some good news that we'll be providing and producing our own vaccines, hopefully from next year. In other news this evening, TV3 has learned of a crucial meeting between the board of the Ghana Grid Company Limited, that is GRIDCO, and workers of the company on Monday, the 18th of December, following warnings by the workers that Ghana faces a power crisis if management does not turn around the fortunes of the company. The workers further blamed Ghana's distribution company, the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, for the difficulties in the company that the company is facing. In a strongly worded letter to the Ministry of Energy, copied to the board chairman and the chief executive officer of GRIDCO, the workers explained that GRIDCO's bill to ECG, which is their major customer, has billed them over 100 million Ghana cedis per month, out of which nearly between 18 to 25% is paid. They therefore want the Minister of Energy to take drastic measures to save GRIDCO. A source at GRIDCO said that the meeting should address the concerns of the workers, threatening that they will go on strike if their concerns and the major concern of GRIDCO is not addressed. They have also, through that statement, given indications that if the cash flow issues are not addressed, there is a likelihood they cannot guarantee smooth power production, especially during the festive period.
In more news tonight, the blurred lines between public space and social media have become evident as social media has become integral to all aspects of our lives, including politics. And Yonam Halige's report evaluates the new wave of political campaigning.
Over the last decade, social media has gradually moved from being a tool for communication amongst an age group to a national platform directing and informing strategy and policy. The Cambridge Analytical Scandal of 2016 is a highlight of the power of social media in politics. Both the young and old seeking political office have had to take the social media space seriously to engage with the would-be voters and the public. And governments have had to rely on the same to propagate their policies, word of propaganda, or set off one on their own. Ghana has had its fair share of social media influences in the past 8 years. Prominent among them is the Fix the Country protest and the Dumsoma Stop. In the lead to the 2024 elections, social media is becoming even more pivotal and could be a make or break for many.
In 2020, we did a study, Emerging Trends of Political Campaigning, and we had actually written that there is this concept called appropriation, content appropriation, which we thought that as time goes on is going to be a very big issue in our political campaign. Why? Because you realize that political parties or politicians make certain statements and over time it catches up with them. And so we felt that perhaps it would be a good tool for messaging where opponents can actually demonstrate how out of touch political parties are or politicians are using their own statement that they've made.
Though just hosting 6 million users, which is just about 35% of the 2020 voter roll, these active social media users are a bulge of the youth population who are critical mass on the national voter roll. The 2023 limited voter registration exercise, for example, saw over 800,000 first-time registrants get on the roll. In the lead to the 2024 general election, 2 main political party flag bearers have been capitalizing on social media to sell their message. The Ghanaian social media space, especially X, saw the NDC and NPP flag bearer being held to account for what they said and wrote in the past. A trend in the couple of weeks has been with the tweets and messages of the leaders of the NDC and NPP that have been played back to them. But social media users, well aware of the reach of the platform to a larger population, are bringing these recalls to traditional media. A development Professor Kobe Mensah argues is a reality check on politicians and their messaging.
I think that's a very good thing, for the society to have, to keep politicians accountable, to keep them in check, to make them responsible of what they say. Otherwise, we've been, having politicians say anything that they want in the past because we couldn't have access and make them be accountable for them. So that's a very good thing that we're actually getting, in these, kind of systems in terms of social media.
This kind of campaign has generated conversations both online and offline with accusations from both political parties. Is this a new wave of electioneering campaigns? 2024 will rather be an interesting election year. And Yonam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
All right, now 13 years after Ghana started commercializing its oil, some indigenes in the area of the oil find are beating regret, intimidating, indicating that there has never been a benefit to them. As the political season heightens, there is a clamor of a properly structured petrochemical industry in the Western Enclave that will change the fortunes of the people. Here's a report by Komla Kluche.
Ghana began to pump its first commercial oil after the discovery of the offshore Jubilee field in December 2010. The discovery raised questions whether Ghana can escape the resource curse where discoveries of valuable commodities fuel conflict and corruption instead of funding development. Luckily, conflict over the oil find is yet to show its ugly head here in Ghana. Development in communities where the oil find has been found is yet to be felt, with massive change in infrastructure development, and social amenities. This is Ampain in the Elembele constituency. The people have even regretted the oil find.
We do not get any benefit from the oil refinery. We saw much improvement in the western region under the tenure of the NDC.
Into good use. If you say, and I say to me, the resources no.
Our resources are not put into good use. The oil will be processed and exported to increase our revenue.
We are suffering in taking care of our children, but we know if Mahama comes, things will be resolved.
Calling Commerce Western Region. Excellency, the region that you developed. This is the region that you expanded the Takwadi port.
John Mahama, who is on a building Ghana tour, regrets the backward development and neglect of the people after a deliberate effort by his actual administration to uplift development in the areas where oil was found.
The measures we put in place was to make Elembele a gas enclave and make here a petrochemical home, but unfortunately our tenure was over.
Seeking a final term, he says he will give them value for the resources found in the area.
My expectation was to see development in this area after 8 years, but it does not look that way.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Elembele.
Away from the Western region, the work of assembly members is often disregarded, particularly by the urban elites, leading to low interest and turnout below 40% at the district-level elections. In the lead-up to the December 19 polls, Nancy Vukania reports on the relevance of assembly members to the broader governance structure of the country and how interest can be whipped up within the electorate to participate in the polls.
Assembly members in Ghana play a crucial role in community governance. Despite having an unpaid job, these representatives bridge the gap between the community and higher levels of government.
When you wake up, you go to the electorate, the people in your electoral area, you consult them, you ask them their problems, as in what they are facing in their electoral areas or their homes, and they will communicate back to you as the assembly member. And when you go to the assembly, you lobby, you tell them the problems of the people in your electoral area.
Everybody in the community expects that once they tell you about their problems, you should be able to solve their problems.
They have been asking for some form of budgetary allocation to support their work due to expectations from some of the electorate.
As assembly members, we've been able to push for a bill, a bylaw to be passed, that every electoral area must have a common fund or some form of development fund, that if at least once it's been budgeted for, if the assembly member comes to the assembly with a problem, that do not need to go through all the protocols, all the bureaucracies to get whatever done, we can fall on that budget.
We are pleading with the assembly, be it municipal, metro, district. Some of the things, most of them come from our pockets. If there's going to be any way that they are going to help us in salaries or anything that will aid us in doing more for our people, we'll be glad.
Large sections of the voting public, particularly urban elites, often disregard assembly members. The result is an extremely low turnout in local government elections.
District level elections, they are the bedrock of our democracy. When we talk of people getting closer to government getting closer to people, talk about representative democracy, that is where it starts. So if these things are working very well, then it means that the communication, the interaction between the people from the base of our society up to the national level, there will be continuous interaction.
70% of the 150 electorates spoken to in Accra did not know their electoral area. Meanwhile, the minister says sensitization for the election has intensified.
For the past 2 months, and I have actually followed it, there have been a lot of advertisements. The main reason why the turnout is low is because political parties by the constitution are not allowed to sponsor candidates. If political parties were allowed to sponsor candidates, political parties will have mobilized people and the participation will have been high. But because political parties are not allowed to do that by our constitution, that's one of the main reasons why participation is low.
The local governance structure in Ghana is simple and cannot deliver on the desired goals without the active participation of all eligible voters in the election of assembly members who hold the fort at the grassroots. Therefore, it behoves on the electorate to honor these 3 things: know your electoral area, register to vote for your local representatives, and come election day, show up and exercise your vote. It is one of the means to influence the administration of your localities. Nancy Vokania, TV3 News, Accra.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. And again, we are encouraging you, December 19, turn up in your numbers and be part of the decision-making process of who becomes your assembly member.
And vote for a woman.
There we go. All right, so stay with us. We have many more stories for you after this break.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
Kofi, catch up to the zip and oh! Ah, Kofi, where's on to me? Kofi! Kofi! Where's that? My main way. Come on, yeah, me dinner. I don't smell it. On a damn ball. You confirm out my bed to see our officer.
Jamas Kofi.
Kofi, and Colani chop much. Namomo. 10 Ghana cedis. Yeah, but chop money. I will say 10 Ghana cedis.
If it's 2 Ghana cedis, we say 200 Ghana cedis. Chow they were 539 daily chop money. Net the 10 a.m. Debia. Dial *446#. Now for option 2, make you lucky numbers. A free 1 go see 39. Net try direct 2 do see no home 40 times. Try direct 3 net the 400 times. And now direct 1 net the 20 times.
Lady, yo, baby.
If you are Joalette. Masa, spell number, mommy. Masa, Sika and pay the do. And the pay ya. Na me try day 539 chop money. Maybe day 539 chop money. Ucha ubedi.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities of 1,000 cedis and upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. Call Quick Credit today, 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
Welcome back to News 360. Let's go to one of the topical subjects of the last week. The comments by the Speaker of Parliament that the Office of the Special Prosecutor was doomed to fail has received mixed responses. While some say the office has failed to live up to expectations, others are of the view that the office needs support to deliver on its mandate. Noble Crosby Annan has the fallout in the following report.
Discussions surrounding the relevance of the Office of the Special Prosecutor have dominated media conversations. The controversy began with comments from the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, that creating the Office of the Special Prosecutor was an exercise in futility.
Office of the Special Prosecutor, I did tell you that it was an act in futility. You were not going to achieve anything from that, but you went ahead to pass it.
But contrary to Speaker Bagbin's remarks, political commentator and private legal practitioner Martin Kpigbo asserts that this is not the case.
It's a work in progress. So the fight is difficult. And so when you have a difficult fight, we shouldn't equate that to futility.
For some, the lamentations of the Special Prosecutor that his work was being frustrated is what may have led the Speaker of Parliament to suggest that creating the Office of the Special Prosecutor was an exercise in futility.
Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. They say I'm a unkwanoma, but they make cry about for it.
Asiedu-Datey's outcry did not sit well with the Member of Parliament for Santiakim North, Andy Appiah-Kubi, who believes the Special Prosecutor has much work to do to ensure the effectiveness of his office.
If, after all the effort we put in to create that office, you only come and say, I'm man, that kind of thing, I'm very disappointed. He must sit and make sure that that office becomes independent.
Disagreeing with Alban Bagbin, lawyer Bobby Banton cautions that the Office of the Special Prosecutor must not fail.
It is not true that the creation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor is a waste of resources. If the OSP office fails, it is not an indictment on only the person who is in charge. It is an indictment on us as a country.
He further offered this advice to the Special Prosecutor.
If he is of the opinion that the judiciary does not appreciate the provisions of the OSP Act, nothing stops him from engaging, maybe through the Attorney General, the Judicial Training Institute, or the Chief Justice, to organize that orientation, and it is not uncommon.
Although the Office of the Special Prosecutor has achieved some successes since its creation, the Member of Parliament for Bulsa South, Dr. Clement Park, point out that something is lacking in the smooth running of the office.
When Martin Amidu was the Special Prosecutor, most of his complaints were that he was not getting cooperation from the executive and that there were deliberate efforts to frustrate him as far as his work is concerned. Now, for the current Special Prosecutor, his challenge, as he indicated publicly, has to do not with the executive, but the judiciary. So either way, it tells me that there is still something that has not been done.
As the debate continues, stakeholders express diverse opinions on the efficacy and challenges facing the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
And the importation of animal intestines or not rages on. While a section of the public is supporting a ban, others argue that local livestock rearers are unable to meet demand for now. But the Fulani community in Ghana, whose members are mostly herdsmen, believe investing and streamlining cattle rearing in the country will cut down, if not end, the importation of not only offal but meat in general.
The clash between herdsmen and crop farmers has for decades caused the loss of lives and livelihoods. In an attempt to drive away the nomads and their cattle, hundreds of animals have been shot and killed by the security agencies. This has not only ruined cattle owners' livelihood, but discouraged many individuals from investing into the cattle rearing business. Ghana now imports meat and animal intestines at a cost of $164 million annually, according to the Ministry of Trade and Industry. A move by government to restrict the importation of the organ meat is being resisted by the minority members of parliament.
I was shocked to hear that some of our favorite intestine that I always enjoyed at the local chop bars, some of them are imported. I was shocked and I was surprised. How come? As for this one there, we support the government to ban it, because after all, we can get some here.
Leadership of the herdsmen in Ghana said the country can attain self-sufficiency in meat production if cattle rearing is regulated.
Today, I'll be hearing in the media that we are banning Yemadie. What is Yemadie? If we can establish very well, put good regulations about this cattle rearing, I think they don't need even to even import a meat, talk less of Yemadie. The Yemadie is with us. Why are we importing Yemadie? It's because we are neglecting a certain profession that it can help the nation.
For now, meeting the local consumption demand may serve as a panacea to the importation of the animal intestines in Ghana, and that can be achieved through conscious investment in the livestock sector. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Certainly the Yemadie conversation continues. To ban or not to ban, we wait to see. The consistent burning of toxic waste at a refuse dump site located at June 4, an area near the Makola No. 2 market in Accra, is posing a health hazard to the large number of people who travel daily from around the country to the market, the Makola No. 2 market and Galaway markets. Peter Kwawadato reports that traders and patrons are exposed to pollutants each day as they go about their daily activities. Pollution from the refuse dump at June 4 is similar to the one that existed at the Agbogboshi market in recent past, described as the most toxic place on the planet in a report compiled by the Blacksmith Institute, a New York NGO. That was when e-waste dumping and haphazardous burning was rife. On 1st July 2021, bulldozers manned by local authority officials backed by armed military officers demolished the illegal Agbogboshi scrapyard. Today, the notorious Agbogboshi e-waste refuse dump may be gone, but residents of June 4 near the Makola No. 2 market and those who do business in the area are facing similar health challenges. Pollutants from the June 4 refuse dump, which are of major public health concern, include particulate matter, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide. The traders say repeated complaints to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly AMA and other relevant agencies have fallen on deaf ears.
What they are burning here is toxic and not good for human body. We have reported this incident to all relevant agencies. To no avail. What we are calling for is the removal of the dump.
It's so dire that she hardly stays in the shop throughout the working hours, having to area intermittently to get some fresh air.
They are not smoke every hoban. It's smoke every hell. To me,
the smoke from the dump is more than that of hell. We can't stand in it. That comes from our nose anytime we blow. I experience pains within my eyes each day. We experience excessive cough during the night. I could not stay in the shop for the whole period, else I fall sick.
Other traders and patrons of No. 2 and Galaway markets want the dump site relocated to save them from health complications. This is still News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. When we return from this break, Aniela will bring us sports.
We watch the Premier League on Super Sport like we are in a stadium.
That was not an offside. Rashford was in an offside position, but he wasn't interfering with play. And score.
This Christmas, dear, entertainment galore on DSTV. The content just go over you. Now that 759 hash to reconnect or stay connected now.
It's a great evening to get together once again to celebrate the Ghanaian ingenuity and the Ghanaian creativity. Something is about to happen tonight that will change the narrative and the way we define the word L-U-C-K-N-Y.
Right, and tonight we'll be presenting to you a very beautiful opportunity to tell you that wherever you are and no matter what you do, luck can get to you. And so whether you're a doctor, you're a pharmacist, whether you're a mason, whether you're a journalist, regardless of what you do, there's luck coming for you.
Genius Losan and the Luckiest has been launched, and I expect the public to also participate in it and win big.
Star 7 1 2 hash.
The luckiest. You could be the luckiest.
Sports segment is brought to you by Bell Pack Tissues.
It's time for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alute. We start off on the domestic front with the Ghana Premier League, and Richard Danso scored a 95th minute equalizer to deny 3 points for Accra Hearts of Oak after an early first half goal from Hamza Issa. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Good ball to Siraj. And it's a good save from Jafet Noviano. And Hearts of Oak finally have the opening goal. It's Hamza who puts the Phobians ahead. Hamza Issa makes it 1-0 for the Phobians. Blocking from taking the free kick. Now Aqua takes it. And Hearts of Oak have conceded the equalizer. It is Richard Danso who equalizes for Nations. In stoppage time, Nations have the equalizer. It's Nations 1, Hearts 1. Richard Danso. Good ball from Aqua. Good connection. And what was Ayid doing for the second week running? Ayid have cost the Phobians big time.
Proceeding to the English Premier League, Luton Town captain Tom Lockyer collapsed in the 58 minutes of Luton's match against Bournemouth. The game was called off as a result with the score at 1-1. Luton Town took to their but that they are grateful to Bournemouth and the medical staff on both sides for their immediate response on the field. Staying in England, Crystal Palace clawed back down from 2 goals to draw 2-2 with Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. Meanwhile, Chelsea returned to winning ways in a hard-fought victory over Sheffield United at Stamford Bridge.
Foden. Grealish! There seemed to be no way through, but they tend to find a way through. Grealish tries to up the pace. Finds a bit of space as well. Pops up towards Rodri and Lewis! Palace preparing a double change. But in the meantime, they're in with Jeffrey Schlupp here. And Mateta's there! Also goes down, so does Mateta. Oh, it's a penalty!
But Mateta does extremely well, no hesitation from him, and you see Foden, I don't think he realises the pace that Mateta...
Looks to bag Crystal Palace, an unlikely point. Elise scores! Sterling. Across and in! Chelsea find the way through, and it's Cole Palmer again. Raheem Sterling over to Raheem Sterling. Was he pulled back there? Sterling and may well have been finished off anyway by Nicholas Jackson. Well, the referee has a fair few bones to pick out of that one. So he's given it Bill the goal. Well, Gallagher flicks the ball up over it.
Heading over to some other news, a special boxing night has been organized in honor of Ghanaian sports enthusiast and administrator Ambassador Ray Kwaku as he celebrates his 88th birthday on Tuesday, December 19th.
Premier Beach Resort featured a diverse lineup of both amateur and professional bouts, interspersed with musical performances, providing the audience with an unforgettable night of entertainment. 6 amateur fighters and 3 professionals took to the ring, delivering thrilling matches that left the spectators buzzing with excitement. One of the most remarkable moments of the night was when Benjamin Ajewoda from the Volta Gym faced off against the formidable Eric Asante. Asante secured victory by dropping Ajewoda twice with consecutive body shots in the opening round. Another highlight featured a super lightweight boxer, Benjamin Lamte, who engaged in a spirited bout against the younger Azuma Mohammed, ending in a unanimous draw. However, the night took an unexpected turn when 2 police officers expressed their desire to challenge each other in the ring and demanded gloves to demonstrate their boxing skills. The Deputy Central East Police Commander intervened to prevent this from happening. The event was attended by some high-profile personalities, including the legendary boxing professor Zum Zum Azuma Nelson, former Musiga President Alhaji Sidiku Buhari, and former Ghana Boxing Authority President Peter Zwene.
That will be all for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alote. Up next is entertainment news.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water, GTP Lifestyled, Vodafone, Further Together, and powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musiga, has opened its 2nd biennial conference. Big on the agenda is the final review and adoption of the union's new constitution. Musiga President Bessa Simons told 3 Entertainment clearing out contradictions in the constitution is key to building a formidable union.
The Musicians Union of Ghana, Musiga, under the leadership of High Life legend Bessa Simons, on Thursday, December 15, opened its 2nd biennial conference. The union hopes to clear out inconsistencies in the Musiga constitution, gather input from members, and pass a new constitution.
We have managed to get all the regions to go through the constitution, raise some concerns, and we've done the review. We've also had International Federation of Music, who have helped us put some motions together, change some things and new things that are coming in the constitution. So my hope is that by the time we finish tomorrow, we might have passed the new constitution, which will make us stronger so we can serve our members better.
The event, which was attended by members of the union's National Executive Council, newly elected executives and musicians from across the country, was held under the theme, Positioning Musica for Growth in a Digital Age.
Every music will have to go to a digital store. And most of the musicians don't know how to upload the music to the digital store. So Musica, we have started with our capacity building, then our Accra in Kumasi, putting some regions together. And what it is now with those regions, if you're a Musica member and you finish with your mastered song from the studio, you can come to Musica once you remember. They will help you put your music on a digital store and then they can do a proper monetization.
Veteran musician Ben Bracco also addressed the gathering on the need to promote and elevate high-life music above all other genres.
People are practicing various other types of music, and it's fine, there's no problem there. But they should know that you can't go to Jamaica and put high life on the same level as reggae or dancehall. So we need to also project what is ours.
In more entertainment news this evening, the chairman of the Ghana Music Rights Organization, GAMRO, Rex Omar, has advised Efua Antiwa Eduonum, the Ghanaian singer who intends to break the Guinness World Record for the longest singing marathon, to compile and furnish GAMRO with a list of the songs she plans to perform. According to Rex Omar, the exposure of Efua's performance globally would likely lead to the increased airplay, streaming, and other usage of featured songs. The Abiba hitmaker further stressed that the list will help GAMRO to track and ensure that artists and their right owners are duly acknowledged and compensated for the use of their intellectual property.
A Vatican court has convicted a once powerful Italian cardinal to 5 years and 6 months in jail for financial crimes at the end of a historic trial. Angelo Bessiu, 75, a former advisor to Pope Francis, who was once considered a papal contender himself, has strongly denied charges that included embezzlement and abuse of office. He had 9 other defendants, including financiers, lawyers, and ex-Vatican employees, were on trial for accusations of financial crimes focused on an opaque London property deal. Angelo Bessiu's lawyer, Fabio Vaglione, says they respected the sentence but will certainly appeal. Angelo Bessiu was also handed a fine of €8,000. At the heart of the trial is the €350 million purchase of a luxury property in London as part of an investment that began in 2014 and ended up costing the Vatican tens of millions of euros. The Israel.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. If you go to our website, 3news.com, you get updates of all the stories we brought to you and several others. I am Martin Asiedu-Datey.
I am Portia Gabor. Good evening.